Every day, millions of people walk into the gym hoping to build muscle. Some spend hours training, some buy expensive supplements, some change their workout every month because someone on Instagram said it's more optimal. Yet after months or even years, they barely look different. The reason isn't because they have bad genetics. It's because they're focusing on the small details while ignoring the things that actually matter. So building muscle is surprisingly simple. It's simple but not easy. What's up guys, Sharmad here, and in this video I'm going to talk about the only 5 rules you need in order to achieve your desired physique. So if you master these 5 rules, you will never have to wonder why you're not growing again. So let's cut through the nonsense and let's get started. So the first rule of muscle building is progressive overload. So think about it this way. Imagine you are carrying a 5 kg grocery bag every single day. At first it feels heavy, right? But after a few weeks it's effortless. So did your muscles get stronger? Absolutely. So imagine you continue carrying that exact same bag for another year. So will your muscles keep growing? No, because your body has already adapted to the stimulus. The same thing happens in the gym. Your muscles are incredibly efficient. They only grow when they are forced to handle a greater challenge than before. So that's why progressive overload is the foundation of muscle growth. So now here's something many beginners get wrong. Progressive overload doesn't mean increasing the weight every workout. Sometimes adding just 2.5 kg plates is just not possible. If that were the case, then all bodybuilders would be benching around 500 kg in just a few years, right? So instead what you could do is just perform one extra rep, improve your technique, use a deeper range of motion, control the lowering phase better, and reduce cheating. You could also reduce the rest time between sets. So all of those make the exercise harder. And another point to remember is not to sacrifice the technique just to lift heavier. A sloppy 100 kg squat isn't better than a 90 kg controlled. The goal isn't to impress people in the gym. The goal is to progressively challenge the target muscle. A simple workout log can completely change your results. If you don't know what you did the last week, then how will you know whether you have improved or not? So what gets measured gets improved. You are accountable for your progress in the gym. So the second rule of muscle building is training close to failure. So let's clear up one of the biggest myths in fitness industry. You don't need to collapse on the floor after every set in order to build muscle, but you also shouldn't stop when the exercise just starts getting difficult. So think about it this way. Imagine you're doing a set of 12 reps. If you finish the set, just honestly ask yourself, if you had a bullet pointed to your head, then how many more reps could you have done? If your answer is more than 3 reps, then that set wasn't probably challenging enough. The last few reps of a set are the ones that recruit the most muscle fibers, the ones with the greatest potential for growth. So that's why training close to failure is so effective. A good target is about finishing with 0 to 3 reps in reserve for every set. So let's talk about failure itself. Should you take every set to failure? The answer is no. Exercises like cable curls or lateral raises are generally safe enough to push them close to failure, but heavy compound lifts like squats or deadlifts or barbell bench presses create much more fatigue and carry a more technical risk. Leaving 1 or 2 reps in reserve on those exercises often gives you the same muscle growth but with much less fatigue. So think of your training as investing. You would want the highest return with the lowest unnecessary cost. So the third rule of muscle building is eating enough calories and protein. So you've probably heard someone say, I'm eating a lot but I'm not growing fast enough. The question isn't whether you're eating a lot. The question is whether you're eating enough for your body. Basically, it's the first law of thermodynamics. Energy can neither be created nor destroyed. It can only be transferred from one form to another. So muscle growth basically requires energy. That's why most people trying to maximize muscle gain benefit from a small caloric surplus. But bigger isn't always better. Eating 1000 extra calories every day won't build muscle twice as fast. Your body basically has a limit to how much muscle it can build in a single day. Everything beyond that mostly becomes body fat. Now let's talk about the protein. Your muscles are constantly breaking down and rebuilding. Protein basically provides the raw material for that rebuilding process. So a good number to aim around is 1.6 to 2.2 grams of protein per kilogram of body weight. Also remember that protein timing is much less important than total protein intake. If you hit your daily protein target consistently, you're already doing the most important part. And don't forget the carbohydrates. Carbs basically fuel your workout, and better workouts mean better performance. And better performance basically creates more opportunities for progressive overload. So a good macros to aim around would be 1.6 to 2.2 grams of protein per kilogram of body weight and 0.5 to 0.8 grams of fat per kilogram of body weight. And then you can allocate the rest of your calories for carbs. So the fourth rule of building muscle is recovery. So here is something many people don't realize. The gym doesn't basically build muscle. The gym only sends the signal. Recovery is basically where your body actually adapts to the stimulus. So imagine you're digging a hole. So the training, what you do in the gym basically is digging the hole, but the recovery is what fills it back even stronger than before. And if you never allow your body to recover, you just keep digging. So sleep is basically the most underrated performance enhancer available. So during sleep, your body basically repairs damaged muscle tissue and prepares you for your next workout. So if you're sleeping for only 5 or 6 hours every night, you're making muscle building much harder than it needs to be. Recovery also means managing training volume. So more isn't always necessarily better. If your performance is dropping every week, you're constantly sore and your motivation is disappearing, then adding more exercises isn't probably the answer. I know it feels counterintuitive, but sometimes the smartest thing what you can do is doing just less. The fifth rule and the most important rule of muscle building is consistency. This is the rule that separates people who have transformed their physique from the people who have stayed the same for years. Consistency beats perfection. Period. So let's do the simple math. If you improve just 1% every week, by the end of the year you will be dramatically stronger than when you started. But if you constantly restart, new workout, new diet, new supplement, new challenge, you're always going back to square one. Building muscle isn't about just one amazing workout. It's about having hundreds of good workouts. Think about the strongest person you know in your gym. They didn't build that physique in just 3 months, right? They built it through years of showing up even when motivation disappeared. So the key takeaway is don't rely on motivation, be disciplined. So ensure you get at least 7 to 9 hours of sleep every day and focus on getting stronger than your last session. So before I conclude this video, I just want to share a few mistakes that hold most people back. The first mistake is basically changing your workout program every 2 to 3 weeks. So just focus on one workout program and progress over those exercises. The second mistake what I see from people is expecting progress way too fast. Your body can only build a finite amount of tissue in a given time. The third mistake is basically ignoring recovery. Ensure that you get at least 7 to 9 hours of sleep. The fourth mistake is constantly chasing soreness instead of progress. Just remember one thing: no amount of soreness, pump, burn, and fatigue are key indicators of muscle growth. They are just byproducts of a workout. Remember, your goal isn't to feel destroyed after every workout. Your goal is to perform better over time, becoming a stronger entity over time. So to conclude this video, let's recap the 5 rules of muscle building. Number 1, progressive overload. Give your muscles a reason to grow. Number 2, training close to failure. Challenging your muscles enough by doing sets that are at least 0 to 3 reps shy of failure. Number 3, eating enough protein and calories to fuel your progress. That is maintaining a constant small amount of caloric surplus. Number 4, recovering properly, because that's when the growth happens. So get 7 to 9 hours of sleep. And finally, the 5th rule, staying consistent, because consistency beats perfection every single time. So if you master these 5 muscle building rules, you will be ahead of most people in the gym. Forget the shortcuts, forget the magic exercises, forget the latest fitness trends. Just master these fundamentals and the results will follow. So if you found this video helpful, make sure to like my channel and subscribe, and let me know in the comments which of these 5 rules you struggle with the most. See you in the next one.